Welcome. Today we're going to look at updating lookup values on your requisition to better suit your client's needs. First, let's look at what is standard. I'm currently logged in as a recruiter. I'm going to go to my client groups and then hiring, and I'm going to add a requisition. Some of the more popular fields to update are recruiting type, as the values you see here are standard. Continue through our requisition. The hiring team has a collaborator. So within these, there's our collaborator types. As you can see, only collaborators there by default. We can add some additional values here in the lookup tables as well, which we will do. And then in our details page, job shift, job type are also very common as far as values that are often updated and changed. So let's go ahead and cancel this rec. I'm going to log out here as my recruiter and log in as my system admin. Okay, to change these values, we go to our drop down and we go to setup and maintenance. And once here, we can go to our recruiting setup area. And in there, we go to recruiting and candidate experience management. That's the functional area we will need to enter. And in here, our task is going to be recruiting and candidate experience lookups. Once in here, we can find those values that we reviewed. So let's look at recruiting type. Here is recruiting type on our list. We select that lookup type, and as we scroll down, here are our values. You can disable them. If your client is not doing contingent, not doing campus, you can just turn them off. And you also can update them. So let's say they want this to be school/university. Okay, and maybe professional, they'd rather have it salaried. So we can make those updates here, and then we can leave the rest as is. Back that up. So we got salary, we got school, university, and we have our updates for recruiting type. And let's look at our job details that we identified earlier, which were shift and type. So if you look at job shift, again, we scroll down to the values. Again, you may not use on-call, and maybe this is called first shift. Maybe second shift. And third shift. We want to make sure they all follow the same format, so let's capitalize that. Okay, so we make those changes and we turn off on call. And then under job type, maybe we don't do co-op, so that's off. We have our internship, our standard, and maybe this is actually seasonal, not summer. So they may have seasonal. Okay, so we've made those updates. And then the one that's slightly different is collaborator. Let's look up our collaborator field. Here that is, and you can see it only has collaborator. So we want to go ahead and add in some additional values. So our lookup code begins IRC. It won't allow you to start with ORA. So let's do hiring manager assistant. Very popular one. Okay. And let's add in another one, and I spelled assistant wrong, so let's spell that right. Let's do this first before it's mad at me again. Recruiter assistant. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We have a hiring manager assistant, recruiter assistant, and maybe you also use your HRBP. So let's do that. Okay, so we have those added now. So we have them available to use, and that way you can identify what that particular collaborator is going to do. So we're going to save and close all those changes we just made. And we're going to log back in as our recruiter and identify these changes. So again, my client groups, hiring, add. So here's our recruiting type. Now we have salary, school, university, and we no longer have contingent. Okay, so we got those changes, so that's great. One thing you want to be really aware of in these drop-down values for your lookups is to keep the meaning of the lookup as close to what it was originally intended. You don't want to be changing them drastically to something else entirely. There are some back-end repercussions if you do that. So you want to be able to make sure you're following the same theme. All right. And then we have our collaborator type, and now we have options. So let's add an HRBP, and that's going to be Marion. Okay, and maybe we have a hiring manager assistant. So we're going to add in a hiring manager assistant, Malcolm. Okay, and then our last one I believe we have is recruiter assistant. So let's add us a recruiter assistant here, Mandy. Okay, so now we have these identifiable, and you can use those in correspondences or other features that you may want to look at. Okay. And as we go through into details, we can see how we've updated this as well. So now we have seasonal, co-op is gone, and our shifts, our first, second, and third shift. So those may better suit the values that your client needs, and you can change these as you need. Obviously, you saw it's very simple and a quick update. Be sure to document any changes so that they know where to find them and how to get to them and what updates you've made. All right, thank you.